Okay, so the last video finished off where we just had these. What I've done from there, as the video ended, was just finish those. I get this here, z is equal to the square root of 270, and x is equal to the square root of 54. So this is a good opportunity to kind of break down how you reduce this. So 54, I have to think, are there any squares that 54 is divisible by? So I know there's 4 is a square, 9 is a square, 16 is a square, what's the next one, 25, and then 36, and we can't do much more than that. Alright, 36 doesn't work, because 54 divided by 2 isn't even 36, so how about 25? Think about it, 25 doesn't work. How about 16? So if you have a calculator, you do 54 divided by 16. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then you're not going to use it. In this case, 54 divided by 16 is 3.375, so that doesn't work. How about 9? Is 54 divisible by 9? Sure is, right? So what we're going to do is write the factors of 54, where one is the value 9, and the other should be 6. Okay. So this is the same as this. It's just expressed differently. And then we end up with the square root of 9 is 3, so we get 3 square root 6. Okay, so this would give us full points. This would give us a majority of the points. Okay, but they are the same thing. Now, square root of 45. Are there any squares in 45? Well, I know 9 times 5 is 45. So I can now take the square root of 9. Can't take the square root of 5. This is my reduced answer. Okay. 270 is a much bigger number, but I'm going to break it down with what I know it is divisible by without using a calculator. So I know 9 times 30 is 270 because 9 times 3 is 27. Now 30 I can break down more, but are there any squares in 30? Well, we have 16 doesn't work. There's no way that 25 works. Is 30 divisible by 9? Is it divisible by 4? No, so what we'll do is we'll leave it as, what's the square root of 9? 3. We get 30 here. Yeah, 30 is not divisible by 4, so we can't do that, and it's not divisible by 9. So we'll just leave it like this, 3 square root 30. Okay, we have plenty of time to do question 8. But I think you have enough here. We'll do number 8. Altitude. I want you to get in the habit of noticing what is the altitude, what are our legs. Here's one leg, here's the other leg, and then we have, here's part of the hypotenuse, here's the other part of the hypotenuse, and then we have the full hypotenuse, which is x plus 4. Okay, so let's look. I can figure out my part of my leg x because I have my altitude and I have one of the parts of the hypotenuse. So again, if you go back to our formulas or just go back to the notes in general, you know that the altitude squared is equal to the two parts of the hypotenuse multiplied together. So I'll just 4 times x, which we can just write as 4x. Okay, so what is 8 squared? 64. 64 is equal to 4x. If you divide both sides by 4, you find out that x equals 16. Okay, cool. So now we have the value of x. It's 16, and therefore we know the whole hypotenuse. It's 4 plus 16, 20. This is going to help us solve the other problems. For example, maybe we should start with z. Z, which is a leg, squared is equal to the whole hypotenuse times the corresponding side of the hypotenuse, basically the part of the hypotenuse that is adjacent to the leg, z. Instead of solving that right away, I'm just going to write our other one. Y is a leg, so if we square it, it should be equal to the whole hypotenuse times that part of the hypotenuse that is adjacent to that leg. Hopefully you can see the color coordination going on here. Right? We have the whole hypotenuse in both of these equations, but then the only other things we're using are the leg and the leg adjacent to it. For example, z and 4, and then in the other one, y and 16. So z squared is equal to 20 times 4, is that 80? Again, this is the answer. You can reduce it, and it would be good for you to practice that, but at the end of the day, I need you to find just that. It's 20 times 16. 320. And then we found that x equals 16. Okay, good. So at the end of the day, this is all the work we did on this problem. The big thing is coordinating. You need to know what each part of the big right triangle is. It's the altitude, legs, and parts of the hypotenuse as well as the hypotenuse. And from there, you're literally just plugging them into these formulas here. One of these formulas. Here, here, and these are actually the same. These are the same. So it's just referring to different legs. You can see it right here. Okay, so use this. Break it down. Try to understand it. It'll be much easier if you do so. Okay, this is good enough. Let's do one of these problems. Let's see, it says use similar right triangle relationships to find the value of x. So this is actually, maybe we could start breaking these down, like this is the altitude, this is a leg of the triangle, this is the corresponding side, or the part of the hypotenuse that is adjacent. Here's one leg, here we have that. We could actually use this. Let's say h squared is equal to the two parts of the leg multiplied. Okay, but we don't have x or h. Dang, that stinks. But we have enough if we write a couple equations. For example, I'm going to find the value of x here. So I know that the leg squared is equal to the whole hypotenuse, which in this case is 5 plus x, times that part of the hypotenuse that is adjacent to that leg. Okay, so hopefully you can see how that works. So then we end up with x plus 2 times x plus 2. Looks like we have a quadratic here, and then I can actually distribute this pretty easily. 5x plus x squared. Here we get x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4 Okay, now you're thinking, oh man, I got a quadratic, I'm going to have to use the quadratic formula, or I'm going to have to factor. Well, let's get rid of these. An x squared from one side. If we do it to one side, you have to do it to the other. And then it looks like you're not dealing with an x squared anymore. Combine like terms. Subtract 4x from both sides. So we get x equals 4. Okay, so if x equals 4, well, really that's all we needed to find, x equals 4. I'll give you a challenge. Since now you know that this is 4, so this whole thing right here is 6. You know that this is 4, so this is 9, the whole hypotenuse. Please find the altitude, and please find this leg. Okay.